Hi everyone, I'm Eric with wifi-U, and welcome to Ask Wi-Fi-U, where we answer common questions from students taking our network classes. Today's question is, why can't my devices communicate? Turns out there's only a handful of things that can prevent devices from talking to each other. If you understand these, you'll be able to solve most network problems much faster. For two devices to communicate, several things have to happen correctly. If any one of them fails, communication stops. Now here's a checklist of the things that we need. We need a physical connection, an IP address, a subnet, a VLAN, a gateway, and a firewall that isn't blocking us. So the first thing is the most obvious, but happens to be the one that gets most people, and that is the device actually connected? Is there an Ethernet cable that's plugged in? Or if it's a Wi-Fi device, do you have a Wi-Fi connection? Do you see link lights, or do you see an internet connection when you hover over your fans? Next, we need to have an IP address. So something has to assign us that IP address. It's usually comes from a gateway that we're connected to. And so you can see here that both devices have an IP address, 192.168.1.25 and 192.168.1.50. If the device isn't getting an IP address, you'll see that it gets a self-assigned IP address, which is something like 169.254.7.158, something like that. But it'll start with a 169.254, and that means it's self-assigned and it's not going to be able to communicate. Next, we need devices to be in the same subnet. So are they in the same network? Here you have 192.168.1.25 and 1.50, which would be correct. But here you have 192.168.10.25 and 192.168.20.50. So the 10 and the 20 are in two separate networks, so they're not going to be able to connect. Another problem that can get us is the default gateway. So here my IPv4 address is 10.100.0.216, and my default gateway is 10.100.0.1, so they're in the same network, so it should work just fine. But if that default gateway had been put in manually, it might say 192.168.1.1, and in that case, it wouldn't be able to connect. Finally, we need them to be in the same VLAN. So here you can see that most of the ports have been assigned a native VLAN of default, but there's one that is set to cameras and doors. And so in order for the devices that are connected into port 2 to communicate with the devices outside of that cameras and doors network, we'd need a router that's configured to move in between VLANs. Finally, you could have a firewall that's set up to block two devices. So there could be a firewall rule set up that would stop the two devices. It would be an intentional reason that you wouldn't want those two devices communicating. So it'd be intentionally blocking the traffic. Okay, so that's our list. Whenever devices can't communicate, check these 6 items in order. Most networking problems are solved before you ever reach the firewall. I'm Eric with wifi-U. Thanks for watching Ask Wi-Fi-U. If you're taking our Network Routing and Switching Essentials class, you will learn how to configure and troubleshoot each of these topics in the hands-on labs that we have for you. I'll see you in the next Ask Wi-Fi-U.